Good morning, everyone, and a happy Tuesday. I'm so excited to see so many participants here logged in with us this morning. How's everyone doing? Tell us in the chat how your Tuesday's going so far. If you don't already know me, it is a pleasure to have the chance to introduce myself to you all this morning. My name is Blaine Cowart. I have the tremendous pleasure of leading the homeowner services team here at Dallas Area Habitat for Humanity. My team and I are so excited to bring this event to you all's fingertips all week long this week as we celebrate April as National Financial Literacy Month. And today is our very first session of our entire day dedicated to youth and family financial fitness. This is such an important topic, especially for those of us who are blessed to be parents and have the next generation that we are looking to teach and equip with the skills that they need to succeed, quite certainly. We want to let you know that if you would like Spanish translation for today's session, that is an option that is available to you. Si prefiere español, tenemos la opción de traducir aquí en la Zoom hoy. So please take advantage of that, quite certainly. It is a tremendous pleasure to introduce you all to some of our wonderful community partners who are going to be co-hosting this session with us this morning. We are so honored to have Gloria Castillo here with us from Catholic Charities of Greater Dallas. And we'll bring Gloria on when she's ready. Here she comes.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Great, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Good, absolutely. We're so excited to have you here for this topic this morning, Gloria. You know, I know that Gloria does financial coaching at Catholic Charities, so some similarity to the services that Dallas Habitat provides, but in a more broad context, right? Not specific necessarily to homeownership. And Gloria, you serve so many families like we do at Dallas Habitat who have children, many of whom may be single parents, and wondering what we can do to equip our children to be able to be better off than we were. So we're so excited to welcome you here today. Gloria, if you want to take a chance to introduce yourself to our audience, please feel free.
Yes, of course. So good morning, everyone. My name is Gloria, and I work here at Catholic Charities. Within our whole organization, we have a large array of different services that we offer, but today we'll be focusing on our Financial Stability and Career Services Department, which we provide education and kind of we work as support to kind of help with individuals who are looking to learn how to save, how to budget, how to build their credit. If they have a financial goal that they want to set for themselves and are finding just challenges trying to reach that goal, we're here to support them and teach them, you know, all the different stuff that you don't really know going into, you know, buying a house or how to gain employment. So we have different types of coaches here that will help with those different aspects when, you know, trying to reach a personal goal for either yourself or your family, and kind of just get financially stable and leave something behind for your children, which is what we'll talk about here today. Yes.
That's right. We are talking today about how we as parents can leave a legacy for our children, a financial legacy at that. And I want to set the stage for us a little bit for today's conversation as to why this is so critical and why this is so important. You know, I think as parents, we want to do everything that we can to make sure that our children are better off than we've been in our lives. And I think that, you know, this is even more so true when it comes to finances and thinking about how we can set our children up for success. Particularly, you know, I think this is very poignant and really important for communities of color because of the racial wealth gap, which is a very serious and very real issue that communities of color are facing. The most recent statistics on this is not great, right? I mean, really, statistics show and data show that the racial wealth gap has not closed much since the 1960s when the Fair Housing Act was passed in an effort to be able to help families of color be able to access homeownership and other vehicles and means of being able to build wealth. These days, we know that the typical white family has about 8 times as much wealth as the typical Black family and about 5 times as much wealth as a typical Hispanic family. So this is an issue, right? We need to make sure that we can work to unpack this a little bit and understand how, those of us that are adults are facing this issue right now. What can we do to potentially make sure that our children are better off? The other thing that we're very passionate about here at Dallas Habitat is making sure that our youth are equipped with the skills that they need to build a solid financial foundation. And we're doing this in real time at Dallas Habitat, actually in partnership with Dallas ISD, where we are offering digital financial education for elementary age students right in the classroom. And this is really critical, right? Because we know that only 12% of students are required to take a personal finance course before they graduate high school. But all of us have to figure out and navigate this financial world once we're 18 years old, sometimes even sooner than that. And so today's conversation is really about, recognizing that many of our kids are not going to get this critical education in the classroom, may not have this benefit. So really the responsibility lies on us as parents. What can we do to lean in and be able to provide this to our children? So Gloria, with that context in mind of why today's conversation is so critical, I want to pitch the first question to you. And the first question is, why do you think it's so essential for parents to provide our children with financial knowledge? And kind of a follow-up to that question too, kind of a part B, if you will, is particularly for communities of color, why is this even more critical?
Yeah, most definitely. I think it's super essential because what we're finances teach or open the doors for our whole future. And so if we're unaware of, the impacts that credit make or the impacts of not saving, it closes our doors, and it sets us up for failure. And so we need to get out of that mindset of I'm just trying to survive to transitioning from surviving to thriving, because it does everything that we do now affects our children and our children's children and so on and so forth. And I think for a long, long time, especially, our communities of color, we have never really had that opportunity to already start at a high point. That right now, we're still growing and learning and trying to leave that. And we are unfortunately, set at a, 2 steps back. And so it is kind of challenging to move away from that. But I think, if we are aware of our surroundings and kind of what we are at right now, I think that can help us to an advantage to helping, okay, I know I'm already set to fail, so let me prove them wrong and let me, teach my children and let me get my finances straight so then I can teach them and then they can teach their children. And so I think that's how ultimately we'll be able to break that gap, because we are being proactive rather than letting it tarnish us and letting it get the best of us.
I love that you call that out, going from financially surviving to thriving. And that's the theme of this week's event, right? This is all about not just having the resources and the tools to do that, Gloria, but I also think a lot of this comes down to mindset, right? This is an intentional shift that we have to make.
Yeah, most definitely, because I think for a lot of the time, we're kind of just thinking about how are we going to make rent meet, or how are we going to provide food on our table? How are, we're thinking of kind of the necessities. And that's great. We do need to be thinking about our necessities, but also what can I do more to not just keep on doing this every single month, but if, kind of building on that and helping our children so that when they grow up, they are kind of left with something other than, teaching them that, every month you pay your rent every month, and you kind of get left with no money at the end of the pay period. So it's kind of going a little bit more past that and doing stuff to help them not get stuck in the same cycle.
Yeah. I think, when we reflect on the importance of that mindset shift and how we think about money, how we approach money, so much of our value set and sort of our attitudes towards money management, I feel like is developed at a very young age, right? And what I mean by that is it might be influenced by the way that we see how our parents react to money, or how they talk about money, or how they don't talk about money. And then being mindful as we become parents as well, are we imparting those same values onto our children, or are we intentionally making a shift? And so I wonder, with that in mind, Gloria, if you have anything sort of to add on what we can do to be intentional about kind of developing a money story, if you will, for our children to take with them that's more productive, maybe in allowing them to be able to pursue their financial goals and ultimately achieve their financial dreams.
Yeah, I think even like for me, I know growing up, my mother would always talk about, her struggles. And then that kind of also helped open up my mind to knowing, okay, that's definitely something I don't want to do. So I think by parents being completely honest and open with your children, I think that already does a lot in itself to kind of open their mind and get their mind rolling to, figuring out their future and seeing, as communities of color, we do struggle a little bit more. So what can I do to not get stuck in that? And, like I said, just being proactive, because we are already set kind of 2 steps back. And so I think it starts with being aware and, having an open communication with your children to build those healthy financial habits, and knowing that, yes, maybe my mom's financial story was the same as her mom's and her mom's before that, but I can be the different story, and their story doesn't affect my story and my children's story, and so on and so forth. And I think that's how we will be able to, steer away from being far behind from, all the other different communities. And, having just the equal opportunity and having the same chances as everyone else.
Yeah. And I think that that's a critical thing. Those things have to go hand in hand, right? Yeah. And so many of us in this space are really working to advocate for more equality and equal access to opportunity, right? Catholic Charities, I know, does this in a lot of your programming that you all offer, even just equal access to financial education at a very basic level, right? Making sure that that's something that's available to all. And I would say quite certainly, we have the same mindset here at Dallas Habitat. We believe every single person deserves a safe, decent, and affordable place to call home. And that is our mission. And so I think that that's kind of part one. But part two, to your point, really is being able to help connect those dots and say, okay, the access is there. Now, do I have the mindset to really believe and have the confidence in myself that, yes, I can. Yes, I can do that.
Yeah, most definitely.
Gloria, I'd love to kind of dig into something that you mentioned here a moment ago, just a little further in terms of how we have conversations about money as parents with our children, just sort of as family units. And I think that, for so many of us, talking about money as a family is sort of taboo, right? It's sort of off of the table a lot of times. It can be, those conversations sometimes are filled with shame, maybe embarrassment, maybe it's just a level of discomfort, that we're not, a lot of vulnerability, quite certainly, when we begin to sort of examine how we spend money and what our attitudes are and values towards money are as a family unit. And so, I wonder, kind of first question on this topic for you is, what are some ways that you think that parents can help to create a sort of a safe space, a non-judgmental space, that they can have conversations in their house about money with their children, particularly two-way conversations, not just talking at our children, but talking with our children and being open to receiving what they have to say as well?
Yeah, I know as parents, I think it is very uncomfortable and very, like you said, it's embarrassing to them to kind of admit their financial mistakes that they've done in the past. But I think as parents, if you're honest with your children, they won't think, I believe, less of you. If not, they are actually looking up to you and figuring out, okay, yes, my parents maybe, spend a little bit too much on credit, but they're being proactive and doing something about it rather than letting it stay behind. So I think it's, by them being open and then showing them, what they're doing to, fix those errors that they did. I think it does a lot to the children also to, open up their minds and say, okay, yes, mistakes are made, but it can be fixable. But I think parents can do a lot by being honest with their children. Of course, not, going down to crossing every T's of, every single different expense. But I think if they're honest, and I think a great way to do that is by, parents including their children in, budgeting, showing them the different expenses in the household, letting them know, if they're saving something, what are they saving towards, sharing their financial goals with their children, and then seeing what their children think of that too, because at the end of the day, this is all for them. This is as for the whole family. So just including them, I think is a great part. Just having those open conversations with them, being comfortable. At the end of the day, parents don't know every single thing. They're also learning. So I think by them learning together will also help kind of get away from that whole like, oh, I'm uncomfortable and I'm embarrassed conversations.
Yeah, sometimes it's just kind of leveling too, to understand like we don't have to have it 100% together to open these conversations, right? It's okay, again, to be vulnerable and say like, I'm learning as we go too. We're in this together.
Yeah.
And I wonder how might setting something like family financial goals play into this? Is that something that you work with, perhaps some of the families that you work with at Catholic Charities, Gloria, to kind of talk about how some of these financial goals can not just be mom and dad's financial goal or mom or dad's, but maybe also our kids?
Yeah, most definitely. I think, like I said, if a family sets goals for themselves, including their children. So if you, every year take a family vacation together, kind of encouraging them to see, the savings that's going towards that vacation, or even if it's a small trip to the movies or the zoo. I think, kids are sponges and absorb all of that information and do appreciate everything that you're telling them and that you're including them into those different decisions. Also, I know as kids get older, they start asking for more stuff. So kind of teaching them the importance of, where the money comes from and how you save it to eventually get that item that they want, or the thing for the family.
I think it's awesome. Here, of course, at Dallas Habitat, what we do is affordable home ownership, right? We make that a possibility for so many families that we work with every year. And I am always blown away about how so oftentimes individuals who are parents that come through our program are very intentional about making sure that their children are highly involved in the home buying process. Right? From coming and sitting in on meetings that they have to attend at Habitat and preparing, if it's joining a class for them to begin to, understand how some of these concepts work. Some of our families that have older children even bring their kids along to do what we call sweat equity and actually helping to build the house that they work on. And all of those are really important learning opportunities for our children, right? So that when we get to the very culmination, I hear so much of the time parents say, my kids saw how this is a struggle, how we sacrificed for this. We put in the time, we put in the effort, and now we get the chance to reap the reward. And there's something really poignant, I think, about, children being hands-on involved in these kinds of processes.
Yeah, most definitely. I think, like you said, including them in every step of the way, showing them, again, it's not easy. It is a sacrifice that you're doing as a family, but you're doing it together and you're teaching them. So then that way, when they get older, they don't have to go and, ask a million questions. They'll only ask, let's say, 1,000, because there is a lot of steps, even if it's just buying a house. But I think planting that seed in their head, it makes a huge difference, and their future financial decisions that they will make.
Yeah, I love that. I think that, when I think about children, especially children at a young age, but not exclusively, right? So many kids learn really effectively, not just by hearing, but by doing, right? Really hands-on involvement. And so while I think that financial education is an important building block of that, so is putting those financial education skills into practice in the real world. And so I wonder if you have some suggestions, Gloria, that you could share with us today about how we can encourage our children to get some hands-on learning in terms of money management, maybe with some visual aids or some real life practices?
Yeah, I think, starting off small when they're children, I love the whole piggy bank system. So having them collect coins, I think it does a lot in itself. The actual putting the coin in the piggy bank, and when it's full, breaking it, taking it to the grocery store to exchange. I think that is a great activity for the younger children. Even just teaching them, what a dime looks like, what a penny looks like, what a dollar looks like, all those different activities at the beginning, I think make a huge difference. And then as they get older, you can start introducing some other things. I know one of my coworkers says that, when they take their children to grocery shopping, before they go into the grocery store, they'll let them know, our budget's $50. And so they'll give them a little calculator, and then they'll start, adding everything up as it goes into the cart, and then helping them, stay under those $50. So I think that is also a great activity in itself. And then as they get older, I think a great thing to do is teaching them or giving them opportunities to earn money. So if it's mowing the lawn, taking out the trash, little allowances. So, and then teaching them, okay, now that you have this money, let's go ahead and save it. And if they have a big purchase that they want to make, or if they want to go to, like I said, a movie or a zoo, or kind of do a family outing, those different activities go hand in hand, and teaching them then further things. So kind of progressing at each age group, I think is a great idea. And like I said, the smaller you can start them, the better, because that does make a huge difference in the long run.
Yeah, totally agree. I saw a note in the chat from one of our team members at Dallas Habitat, and I just want to call this out to our attendees today. We'd love to hear from you all. Tell us in the chat box, are there some strategies that you all are currently using or have used as parents that you found to be effective in terms of really equipping your children with some of the skills that they need to financially succeed? So we'd love to hear from you guys. Let us know in the chat what's worked for you. And as we, kind of expand on that just a little bit, Gloria, too, I think, and you touched on this just a moment ago, learning how to bring in income, whether it's, through chores or helping, your parents manage their budget in the grocery store, whatever that might be, is kind of step one. And then as we build on that and become really intentional about how we help our children learn how to manage money long-term, you mentioned saving, right? Or maybe spending on something that they have a goal for, that they're really interested in. I'd be interested to know kind of, some approaches that you found helpful or you think would be helpful for us to dig into with children about how to allocate some of that money, so we can begin to understand the difference between, income, money, and building wealth, quite certainly long-term. And then again, really how we manage it.
Yeah, I think, I love visuals. So I think printing out a picture of what their goal or what the toy or, the place that they want to go to. And again, just being very visual and showing them, this is what I'm working towards. And so if they do, cut the yard or take out the trash or help in the family business and are $1 or $2, I think by the act of them physically seeing the amount that they're earning and what it will cost, they're intentional. So, once their money starts growing, they know that they're closer to that goal. And so I think that sparks motivation in them to continue working, to continue saving, to be able to reach that goal. And so I think, once that one goal is met, set another one. So I think not just doing one, but setting them back to back. That way they are always thinking, okay, what's next? So I was able to reach, $10. Next time I'm gonna try to do something for 15 or something for 20, and so then that will motivate them to, keep on going and trying to push themselves to try to beat the last goal. But again, I think just visually seeing them and physically having the money makes a huge difference, rather than it being in a bank account or in a savings account, because they're not really, even if they're smaller, they're not logging into these apps to look at, the progress on there. It's more so like visually seeing, I think what is a huge impact on them.
Yeah, and I think that's why, cash is king, right? When we talk about how we teach our children about money, it's so easy. And a lot of us as adults fall victim to that, just, blind swiping of a credit card, right? Or Apple Pay, whatever it might be these days. But there's something different about cold hard cash in your hand and knowing how to manage that.
You see it leaving, and when you swipe your card, you're not seeing it. And so then that makes a huge impact when you look at your wallet and you started off with $20 and now you're down to $2. I mean, it makes you double think about the purchase that you're about to make.
I love that. So I see a couple of comments in the chat box that I just want to expand upon real quick. I saw that Wendy wrote a note in here that she had opened accounts for her daughters to help them learn how to save at local credit unions. And I want to just touch on this quickly. I saw a statistic on this not too long ago. Children with savings accounts in their name are 6 times more likely to attend college. I mean, just think about that for a minute. 6 times more likely to attend college. That's unbelievable, because, so much of what we're teaching children about financial education goes hand in hand with a lot of the life skills that we want them to learn as they grow older as well. I mean, so that's incredible. That's a great, Wendy, thank you for sharing your experience on that. And she also says she had a coin counter piggy bank, and they rolled change in rollers, which I love, and then went and deposited those in the bank. Right. So again, that kind of tangible hands-on learning opportunity.
Yeah, it's a great family activity to do together.
And then, one of the other things I'm sorry, Maria. Gloria. So Gloria, one of the other notes I see in the chat, which I love, is again, how we think about how we communicate money management to our children, encourage them to not just save for the sake of saving money, for hoarding money, if you will, but really being intentional about how we utilize that money. And we have a participant that dropped in the note in the chat that said that they were taught as a child to pay myself and God first. I love that. So really embodying the importance of tithing, whether that's tithing to perhaps our church or congregation, maybe that's in the form of giving back to local nonprofits or to charities, right? And really encouraging philanthropy from a young age. So I wonder if you have any insight on kind of how we can help our children prioritize how money is spent and why it's so important to manage that.
Yeah, I think that's a great point that you point out, because it is not like you do want to teach them to earn money, but also giving back. Teaching them the work that goes into earning money. So teaching them being appreciative that they are able to have a job and have an education, teaching them, there's some people in different countries that don't have the same opportunities that we do. And so I think that also will go a long way in them being able to be responsible with the way that they spend money, and giving back, like you said, to the churches, volunteering during the summer, all those different things, I think go hand in hand in being able to teach them and appreciate money.
Yeah. We have a counselor on our team here at Dallas Habitat, and some of you all on today's call might know him, Christian Marquez. And, I know if Christian were on today's call, what he would be saying is, it's so important to teach our children not just about earning money, saving some of that money, tithing or giving back some of that money, and spending money, but also kind of a fourth category there is investing, right? Investing for our future. And I just want to let everyone on today's call know investing is our theme of the day tomorrow, Wednesday. So make sure we are going to talk about investing not just for yourself, but also for your children through savings vehicles such as 529 plans. So if you're interested in digging more on this topic, we have content coming here for you this week. Make sure you sign up for those sessions. And I think that this is a really important thing to dig into, is really how we help our children think holistically about how they manage their money as adults. Gloria, this has been such a wonderful conversation with you. I just so appreciate a lot of the time that you've given us and your insight that you've shared. Oh, one comment that's come in from Amanda. Thanks for sharing, Amanda. Amanda says she uses a service called Greenlight that allows her to open accounts for her children, give them a debit card, automate allowances. Okay, that is awesome. I love that. And quickly transfer funds. So it offers lots of parental controls, she said, and they can save and invest as well. That's perfect.
Oh, wow.
So,
yeah, that is really awesome.
2022, yeah. There's like an app or a site for everything, right? Yeah. Amanda, thank you so much for sharing that resource with everyone. That's amazing. I'm definitely going to have to check Greenlight out. I love that. I do want to just open it up just briefly here. I know we're just a couple of minutes past. For our participants, if you do have questions, send us questions in the chat. We'd love to be able to answer any questions you have. Okay, I see one question from Wendy. Sessions are recorded. Yes, ma'am. Will they be available to us who have registered to view them again later? Absolutely. They sure will be, Wendy. Thank you for asking that question. All of this week's sessions are being recorded and will all be available on our website on demand after the event concludes on Friday. So make sure that you go back. It'll be the same web page on our main website at dallasareahabitat.org. Well, you'll be able to find all of these sessions on demand. So thank you so much for asking that question. Yes, I know. Yeah, during the day, it can be lots going on, especially if you're at work tuning in. So we know, different times work for everyone. We do have our next session coming up at noon. Today, I'll let you know we have Kelly Calderon, founder of the Smart Money Academy, who's going to be joining us at noon today to talk specifically about how we can help our children develop safe and effective money habits from an early age. So we can't wait to have Kelly join us. And like I mentioned, tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., we are hosting a session on 529 plans and helping to save not just for college, but higher education in general. So this includes trade and vocational schools. This includes potentially if kids go on to graduate level studies. So be sure to join us all week, and do not forget, we have our fantastic keynote speaker, Bola Sokundi, founder and CEO of Clever Girl Finance, who's going to be here on Thursday at noon to share her insights with us on how to develop a financial plan that works for us. So tons of amazing content. You definitely don't want to miss it this week. Gloria, we just so appreciate you taking the time and sharing the resources that Catholic Charities, you and your team provide, essential resources, really and truly, to our community. Thank you so much for everything you do, and certainly for being here today.
Yes, of course. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. To all of our attendees, we hope that we see you at noon. Thank you for making the time. Y'all have a great day.